Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gyantam Ramdas Gyanam Sattvamutam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. So Hare Krishna Prabhu Mataji's. Today we'll be discussing from 9th chapter, verse number 2 from Bhagavad Gita. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So let us discuss and try to find what are the lessons we can learn from this chapter, from this verse itself. See, this chapter is called King of Education, Raja Vidya, because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained. See, Prabhupada says in the purport, among the principal philosophers in India are Gautama, Kanada, Kapila, right? Finally, there is Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedanta Sutra. So he says there is no dearth of knowledge in the field of philosophy or transcendental knowledge. Now, Krishna says that this 9th chapter is the king of all such knowledge. That is the essence of all knowledge that can be derived from the study of the Vedas and different kinds of philosophy. And he says it is the most confidential. Why? Because this confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. So the king of all confidential knowledge culminates in devotional service. So Bhagavad-gītā, especially from the 2nd chapter, stresses the importance of the soul, right? We have seen that. So in the very beginning, Krishna says that this body is perishable and the soul is not perishable. Antavanta ime deha nityasyoktaha sharirana. So this is a confidential part of the knowledge. So simply knowing that the spirit soul is different from this body and that its nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal, that is the Rajavidya. See, sometimes people are under the impression that the soul is different from the body and that when the body is finished or when liberated from the body, the soul remains in a void and becomes impersonal. That's what people feel, some of the feel. So, but actually that is not the fact. See, how can the soul, which is so active within this body, be inactive after being liberated from this body? It is always active. It is eternal. It is eternally active. And its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge. So these activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated in this chapter, constitutes the king of all knowledge. That is the most confidential part of all knowledge. So Prabhupada says, in the purport, when one's heart is cleansed of all nonsense, then one can understand what God is. Thus, the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is the king of all education and the king of all confidential knowledge. He says it is the purest form of religion and it can be executed joyfully without difficulty. And therefore, Prabhupada says, therefore, one should adopt this Krishna consciousness. See, Prabhupada writes, a living being, especially the human being, he is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity. But what happens is very vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere, which is not possible. He says a living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole. And his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. So the Lord is the complete spirit whole, right? And his name, form, quality, pastimes, all identical with him. So once a person comes in contact with any of these energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately opened. See, when God made man, the crown of all his creation, he showered every possible blessing on him. So to each man was given a treasure of happiness. But what happened? Man abused the great gift of happiness given to him. So it was very saddening for the Creator, the person who was the Lord, no? He saddened his heart. So what did he do? He called a conference of all the gods. And he posed the problem before them. He said, what could we do to make man realize the value of this gift? The gift of happiness which I have already given. But he's not taking it. He's just, looking for the material one. So what could we do to make the man realize the value of this gift? So one of the gods said, oh, it is simple. Just take it back. You are given it. It is your gift to man. Take it back. The God said, no, never. See, the gift has been given, right? And you are not supposed to. It doesn't befit very well for the giver to take it away. So they said, the gods, other gods who were there, they said, let us hide the happiness where man will not find it. So where should that be? So one of them said, in the very depths of the ocean. But the God said, man would dive deep into the waters and retrieve it. So the God said, let us bury it at the very center of the earth. Now God said, no, he would invent machines that would bore down, right, down to the earth, and he will take it back. So it went on. The discussion was going on and on. So one suggestion after another was turned down by the Lord until finally he himself came up with a solution. He said, let us hide it within the man. Then man will search for happiness endlessly outside of himself, right? Whereas he is carrying it within himself. So only the one who dives deep within himself, he will discover the treasure of this happiness. So how can we dive deep within ourselves? That's what he says in Bhagavad-gītā 9.2. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Dharmyam Susukam Skartum Avyayam. So Prabhupada, he says in this purport, right? It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. This direct result is actually perceived. And we have practical experience. That any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the course of chanting this without offenses, he feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all mental contamination. And this is actually seen. So activities in Krishna consciousness gives everlasting peace and happiness. Prabhupada says, spiritual knowledge and practices are not meant only to make bad people good. Very nice point. He said, spiritual knowledge and the practices are not meant only to make bad people good, but also to make good people better and better, till they can become the best, right? So purification is the key that unlocks the treasure of happiness which is locked in our hearts. We are not human beings on a spiritual journey, right? We are not human beings on a spiritual journey. We think that I'm a human being now, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita. No, we are not human beings on a spiritual journey, but spiritual beings on a human journey. As spiritual beings, see, we are by our very nature, Sat, Chit and Anand, eternal, full of knowledge and full of happiness. So the purer we become, the more we can experience our own joyful nature. So when we are joyful within, then we interact with others to share our joy with them. But when we are empty within, then we are craving for external pleasures. So when we interact with others, then consciously or unconsciously, what happens? We tend to manipulate and exploit them to get what we want from them. Correct? In fact, when a person is in material consciousness, that is seeking pleasure externally, his first default thought on meeting anyone is, what can this person do for me? Right? We don't think what can. So, on the contrary, when a person is in spiritual consciousness, Krishna conscious, who is satisfied internally, what is his first default thought on meeting anyone is, what can I do for this person? How can I help you? Right? How can I serve you? Kim kara. So one of the basic difference between God and man is God gives, and forgives. But man gets, and forgets. That's why Srila Prabhupada says, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. See, one of my godbrothers, he had written a poem long back. So in one of the poem, he has depicted this very nicely. He says, you can only remember Krishna when Krishna remembers you. This means when we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna is remembering you. He says you can only remember Krishna when Krishna remembers you. So when we are chanting, Krishna is remembering us. That's why in the 9.2 Prabhupada says, the process of devotional service of Krishna is the king of all education and the king of all confidential knowledge. He says it is the purest form of religion. It can be executed joyfully without difficulty. Therefore, one should adopt it. When Guru Maharaj used to say, never neglect your rounds, your chanting. Otherwise, the rounds, the chanting will neglect you. So let us all chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But what happens? We finish Hare Krishna chanting and become happy. No, Prabhupada says, chant and be happy. Not finish chanting and be happy. So Prabhupada says in this purport of 9.2, right? The joyful nature of devotional service. He says, the process of devotional service is a very happy one. Sukham. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Bhagavatam 7.5.23. So one can simply hear chanting the glories of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. So simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to Krishna. Nice palatable dishes, right? So in every state, devotional service is joyful. See, there is an interesting story in the Kurma Puran to explain this point. Once, Narada Muni met a very great yogi meditating on Lord Vishnu. And he was meditating in the midst of fire on a summer day, already hot, but he's on the fire. His body was thin because of the severe austerities he was undertaking. So Narada Muni was very pleased with the dedication of the yogi, right? And he inquired from him why he was doing this severe austerity. So when the yogi replied that he wanted to go to the spiritual world. So Narada said that he's on the way to meet Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha now. I said, yes, I'm going there. So the yogi was very much delighted and he asked, Maharaj, can you please find out when I will reach there? So Narada Muni agreed. And then later he came across a devotee chanting the Lord's names, okay, and dancing in the street. So Narada approached him and asked, shall I ask the Lord when you will reach there? The devotee replied, yes, please, if you want to. He doesn't want. So Narada approached the Lord and discussed with him about the yogi and the devotee. The Lord replied, the yogi is much advanced in yoga practice. So you tell the yogi that he will come to me in just 7 lifetimes. Now the devotee has just begun his devotional service. So tell the devotee that he will come to me in 70 lifetimes. And Narada, now he returned to the yogi and told him, you will reach Lord Vishnu in 7 lifetimes. The yogi was shocked. He said, oh my God, 7 lifetimes. Till then I have to undergo these severe austerities and suffer. And then he fainted. Narada consoled him and explained him. 7 lives is nothing compared to millions of lives already spent in ignorance. So please continue your penances and you will reach Lord Vishnu. Then he met the devotee and told him, you will reach Lord Vishnu after 70 lifetimes. You know what the devotee said? No problem, 70 or 700 lives, it doesn't matter for me. Because I am very happy chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram. And whenever I am hungry, I get wonderful prasadam. And then I continue my kirtan. So I am ready to do this for any number of lifetimes. So this pastime proves that devotional service is joyfully done even in the beginning stages. So both the process and the result are blissful. See, in other processes like Kurma, Jnana, Ashtanga Yogas and all, the process is difficult and troublesome. But devotional service alone gives us peace and satisfaction. So let us worship the Supreme Purusha, right? So that we can receive this ultimate benediction of pure devotional service, which will result in unlimited bliss and satisfaction. So this chapter, 9th chapter Bhagavad-gītā, very important chapter. Most confidential knowledge. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. Guhyatamam, right? It is spoken by Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, there are two natures, material nature and spiritual nature. So we are seeing this nature, this universe within the material nature, right? Similarly, there is another nature which is spiritual. And that is stated in Bhagavad Gita as Parastasmatu bhavo anyo avyakto avyaktat sanatana. 8.20 Bhagavad Gita says. So there is another nature, you cannot deny it. Where God's kingdom, creation, how it is widespread, right? See, by your imagination, you cannot determine. So-called advancement in scientific knowledge is useless in the estimation of the total creation, right? So this creation, material creation is only 1/4. 3/4 is spiritual creation. So we have to take knowledge from the perfect person. So what is the difference between this material world and the spiritual world? In the material world, we are conditioned. In the spiritual world, we are liberated. That is the difference. So what is conditional life? Conditioned life means subjected to the rules and regulations of the material nature. That is conditioned life. Just like we have got this body. There is also condition of the material nature. See, we have got different types of bodies. Why? Because we are conditioned. See, according to karma, we have got different types of body. 84 lakhs of bodies, species. So liberated life means not to go under this condition of the material nature. That is liberated life. In the conditioned life, there are 4 defects. See, out of many other conditions, our knowledge is, so far as our knowledge is concerned, it is defective. Why? Because we commit mistakes. Every one of us, we commit mistakes. We are illusioned. Our senses are imperfect. And we have a tendency to cheat. So this is 4 defects of conditioned life. But the liberated life, they have no such conditions. And another condition is you have to live under the 3-fold miseries. And that miserable condition pertaining to the body and mind. See, even if you are opulent externally, if you are sick, if your mind is not in proper condition, you suffer. So that is called adhyatmika. And there are other miseries offered by other living entities. See, just like some friend of all of a sudden becomes your enemy. It tries to inflict injuries upon you. Then you are full of anxieties. This is called adi bhautika. Even there is no enmity, there are so many other living entities, like bugs, mosquitoes. They are also prepared to give us trouble. So this is called adi bhautika. Then adhyatmika. So adhyatmika, adi bhautika and adi devika. So which is beyond our control, right? Every miserable condition is beyond our control. Especially adi devika, famine, flood, right? This is called adi devika. So this is called conditional life. Conditioned life. So if you got perfect knowledge, that is jnanam vijnana sahitam. If you have got perfect knowledge, then the result will be yajñātva. That is, if you possess that perfect knowledge, then moksha se ashubhat. So these conditions we don't want. Correct? No, we don't want all these things. This is a real fact. So we don't want any miserable condition due to my mind, due to my body, or due to other living entities or natural disturbances. Then birth, death, old age, disease. So we don't want. These are inauspicious of life. But if you got perfect knowledge, and Krishna says that you become liberated from all this inauspiciousness. That is the subject matter of this chapter, 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says that this knowledge is Raja Vidya. So we have got, Prabhupada says in all the classes, we have got different departments of knowledge, university and institutes, right? But nowhere this subject matter is discussed. Or is there any other any department? See, suppose medical department is there. Medical is for what? To give us relief from disease condition, hospitals and all. But there is no department which discusses how to become free from all diseases. That is not there. There is no such department. There is department how to give you relief from disease. There is department how to manufacture very effective medicines. But there is no department where knowledge is given that no more disease. Therefore, this knowledge which is given by Krishna is called Raja Vidya. Raja Vidya means king of knowledge. So if you learn this knowledge, then you become completely freed from the conditioned stage of this material world. Therefore, it is called Raja. Raja means king, and Vidya means knowledge. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. At the same time, it is the most confidential knowledge, Guhyam. Guhyatamam, very confidential. It is not disclosed to any ordinary man. See, suppose we are discussing this knowledge, and when we say, by understanding this knowledge, there is no more birth, death, old age, and disease. Ordinary person with less brain, they will laugh. They will say, how is it possible? Therefore, it is very confidential. It is not open to everyone. It is meant for selected persons. See, if I say that I shall give you relief from birth, death, old age, and disease, you will not believe it. Therefore, it is Raja Guhyam. Guhyam means very, very confidential. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram. So, Pavitra means very pure. Because unless we are purified, we cannot be free from these four miserable conditions, especially namely birth, death, old age, and disease. So, birth, death, old age is meant for this body. And the body is obtained by the spirit soul. Spirit soul is pure. There is no doubt about it. Because it's part and parcel of Krishna. So Krishna is pure. Just like gold is gold, right? And the fragments of gold is also gold. Same quality. But the fragments of gold sometimes become mixed with dirty things. So we are in that same condition. Becoming fragments of Krishna, but we are sometimes put into this material world. And we are materially contaminated. So this knowledge, Raja Vidya, most confidential. So if we can learn it, then we become pure, completely pure. Pavitram idam uttamam. Uttamam, right? Ut means transcendental. Tama means material world, darkness. So in the material world, the nature is darkness. Just like at night, it is darkness. So that is the nature of this material world. But there is illumination on account of the sun. So Krishna has created the sun to give us light. So this is a very nice, beautiful chapter which we can go through and wonderful purpose by Prabhupada. So we'll stop here. So thank you very much, Prabhu Mataji. Karantara Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava. Vancha kalpataru Kripa sandubhaya vacha. Vaditana pavane Vishnu. Ananta Koti Vaishnava. If you have any questions or anything to share, thank you. Hare Krishna.